In 8 years, only 8 years away, people of color will become a majority of the American working class and workforce. Currently, in at least 6 states, people of color are already the majority. You happen to live in one: California, Hawaii, Maryland, Nevada, New Mexico, and Texas. And if Hispanic whites are separated from non-Hispanic whites, Georgia is also predominantly a state of color, with people of color. And in Texas, as of earlier this year, the majority population today is Latino. And by 2024, which I say, if you're talking about 2024 trends, in 20 years, more than half the US population will be communities of color, and there will be no clear racial or ethnic majority. I say this to remind people that these are unstoppable realities and that the economic power of diverse communities is growing, which is very important to a lot of companies. Given the politicization of DEI, there is no question that we're expecting that organizations and companies that have a more limited DEI commitment are likely to cut back on their DEI investments. We're going to see that in a segment. In general, we anticipate that there will be a decline in organizational DEI investments. And, I've seen some estimates, it's going to decline 15%. I'm not going to give you percentages, but I think that's going to happen. I think we are probably likely to see shorter tenures, and I know this is a question you asked later on, for chief DI officers in certain industries. And we expect that because of this politicization of DEI, that we will likely see some decline in leadership buy-in to DEI. So that's going to continue.
I think all of us are looking at how the legal landscape will evolve around diversity programs in corporations. And I think most of us, certainly, we are without question and without, we are committed to diversity because it actually drives better business outcomes, as Blair mentioned. But how we evolve our programs and our support for diversity, something where we're watching the legal landscape.
What we're seeing is DEI teams or DEI issues are being increasingly intersected into environment, social, and governance. And of course, DEI belongs in each one of them because each one of them is about people and the impact on people, right? So, for example, and I think this is very useful, the ESG framework enables us to focus on governance. And I just mentioned NASDAQ, and there are laws in Europe and elsewhere that require diversity, mandate diversity at the board level. So increasingly, DEI, where there is this intersection with ESG, is not simply a concern of HR. It is an institution, org-wide concern, and has the attention of the leadership, where they know they have to fulfill these mandates, and hopefully they have the commitment also to do so, right? And there's increasing pressure, as you know, socially and politically, to be more environmentally conscious. You live in California, are very aware of that, and investors and shareholders are asking for that. Gen Z's preference for DEI will play a much, much bigger role in organizational culture. So according, and I love the Pew Research Center, so I like to quote them, 25% of the current population of Gen Z is, and is on track to becoming the most ethnically diverse and educated generation in the history of our country. And of course, Gen Z prioritizes transparent companies that show a commitment to hiring a more diverse workforce, with 79% of Gen Zers saying that they rank diversity as an important value. So this is increasingly going to be just a simple reality.
I've now seen and heard many, many examples from different companies that when they've used a skill-based approach, without on purpose trying to create more diversity, without that being a factor, if they use a skill-based approach, it opens up the talent pools dramatically, and they end up with a much more diverse set of candidates or set of hires. And I think that's very exciting. That's, very tied to the paper sealing movement around, if you reduce the focus on particular pedigree, particular schools, et cetera, and instead really focus on what set of experiences and set of skills are you looking for, you can actually really open up talent pools and end up with a much stronger set of talent, but also a more diverse set of talent.
Work, as you know, has had a disproportionately positive impact on DEI because it has offered a higher level of flexibility and work-life balance, right? And a more tailored, we call it employee experience. And the demographic that has benefited the most from it are women, especially because of their many commitments, social commitments and responsibilities in their family, and differently enabled people also. And of course, reports have also indicated that employees of color report liking remote and hybrid work because instances of bias and microaggressions have been reduced. I mean, these are positive DEI trends, but on the other hand, it's also important that hybrid and remote work have the potential to create, like, an unequal playing field in the workplace and amplify in-group and out-group dynamics. So it's just something that is very important to DEI, and to ensure that that kind of openness to diverse communities remains, and to try and even out some of the downsides of remote and hybrid work.